Well, welcome back, everybody. Tis a sad day, me having to make this video, but it's okay. We're gonna power through regardless. So you know that cheap paperback you grab while buying milk or at the airport or maybe even the train station or subway that you can bend and toss in a bag and not the baby? Yeah, that book format is basically getting shoved off the stage. Mass market paperbacks or the pocketbook era, though that particular book format is going away. And to be clear, before we go further in the video, this is not a books are dead video at all. It's not even paperbacks are dead. It's the cheapest, smallest, most impulsively buyable print format is getting squeezed out of the market as one of the major distributors of said format is saying no more after this year. And they're going to start phasing it out of their system altogether. So before we go further in the video, let me crank open the screen share so you can get a visual idea of what that format actually is. And I think it is sharing now. We'll make it slightly bigger. Big, big, big. There we go. So the one on the left, that is the one that is going to get phased out. And the one on the right is what will remain. Now, for those that don't know, I prefer selling books on the left for various reasons. Mainly, they're easy to store. Two, they're fun. Um, so let me go ahead and stop the screen share there. We're going to switch on over to another screen so you get a better idea. Um, yeah, this one. Haha. Oh, Zoom, you're in the way. Go away, Zoom. There you go. All right, so yeah, the spinner rack books, some people call them because they're typically stored on spinner racks because they pretty much display better that way. And here's a close up of front covers. So again, these are the formats I like to sell. I tend toward the older ones because they usually have more cover art than word art. So these Star Wars books full of cover art. Um, this one's a bunch of word art and nonsense going on with it. And they typically don't have real photos on the front either. But yeah, this format's going away. Yeah, here's more on point of what I like to sell. Also, they're older. But you know what? This is what's going to happen. An empty rack. That's what's going to happen. Sad. All right, so some more information. The supply chain story is wearing a nostalgia costume. They've been making them for a while now, and a major distributor stepping away means those little rack books don't reliably show up where they used to live. Big box grocery stores, drugstores, airports, train stations, bus stations. Without that ecosystem, the format doesn't really fade. It falls through the floor, essentially. And if you're a buyer of these types of books, let's talk about what this means for you, the reader. The floor price is going to go up, first of all, because you have to pay for a more expensive format now. Mass markets were pretty much the sure, why not purchase? That disappears. The default print option becomes trade paperbacks, which is those larger paperbacks I was showing, and not the mass markets, or hardcover, which is bigger and nicer, and usually way more expensive. So the casual impulse read really becomes a decision, and convenience is gonna, well, it's just gonna take a hit. Um, Mass market was the format of commute, beach bag, back pocket, airplane seat pocket. Trade paperbacks are great until you're trying to one hand them on a subway pole like a medieval shield, those larger formatted paperbacks. Um, and I think discovery is going to get harder as well, as you used to stumble into books while doing non-book things, because that's where sometimes these restore. There's usually a spinner rack of these things. Um, Now, Discovery is going to shift, I think, even more to online recommendation engines, rather, like Book Talk, BookTube, Bookstagram, targeted bookstore browsing, or pretty much nothing at all. The budget reader workaround really becomes the main road, and if you're price sensitive, you're pretty much going to be pushed toward libraries and holds, used books and ebooks, subscription reading, perhaps, which aren't necessarily bad options, just different and not equally accessible to everyone. So yeah, the paperback you don't have to respect is leaving, and replacing it as the paperback you quietly apologize to your wallet for. If you sell books like me, in bookstores and booksellers, this is where it kind of gets a little weird. Mass market was low margin, high volume, but not always your volume. A lot of mass market's historically power came from non-bookstore channels, spinner racks, and managed like magazine routes. When that goes, a bookstore might not lose a category per se, but the culture loses a distribution lane. So your shoppers of mass markets, well, they're going to migrate elsewhere to get their mass market feel. The ecosystem effect, fewer casual readers wander in. Those racks created readers who weren't book people yet, and maybe they can convert some. And if books stop showing up in normal errands, fewer new readers get recruited by accident. That's what that really means. And in my opinion, that just hurts everyone in the long term. Stores, publishers, authors, and new readership. New readers. We want new readers. Inventory strategy shifts, and it's not all bad. Trade paperbacks are easier to show, prettier display, better gift object energy, often higher dollar per unit though. So some sellers will do fine, especially curated shops and indie type bookstores. Used sellers, hey, that's me, may quietly win. When the new mass market thins out, used mass market books become a more valuable, cheap physical lane. So our bottom floor is going to see a slight raise probably over the next 5 years, especially if it's been out of print a long time or had a smaller print run. Um, and so yeah, I mean, thrift and used shops can become the last sanctuary for the pocketbook lifestyle, and or online sales. It concentrates power. Fewer formats, fewer channels often means more dependence on a smaller set of retail pipelines, a smaller set of algorithms, and bigger hit-driven marketing cycles. That makes it harder to sell the weird mid-list stuff that mass market used to keep alive. For sellers, this isn't just one format less, it's one on ramp less, honestly. So, what replaces pocketbooks? Trade paperbacks become the default paperback. Hardcovers lean more collectible. Special editions, sprayed edges, pretty object economics. Digital keeps the cheap and convenient slice, ebooks and audio. So, they're probably going to see a rise there in sales. Used books fill the affordability gap if you have access, and if publishers want to keep cheap print alive. We might see experiments like smaller trim sizes, thinner paper, new low cost lines, but they'll need distribution that actually supports it, of course. If you're the reader more in the pocketbook, then build your new system, your library, your use, your digital, whatever keeps you reading. If you sell books, treat this like a warning flare. Protect discovery, protect new readers, protect affordability lanes where you can. Because the real tragedy in all of this isn't nostalgia for spinner racks. It's the world where books stop being a thing you bump into. And we don't really want to see that, especially if you're one to listen to this. We want people to run into books. So they buy books. So people keep reading. And again, I mentioned earlier, we want new readership. If the new readership declines, well, the amount of readers gets smaller and smaller and smaller to maybe even a non-existence. And I know that's a bold statement, but I don't know if I'm wrong, unfortunately. So let's turn this into a positive. I want to hear from you down in the comments. What was your first spinner rack book or your pocket book or your mass market book that you remember reading? And are you switching to library, used, ebooks, just going to hit the totally used market or paying the trade paperback tax if you're upgrading formats? Let me know in the comments what your plans are. I'd love to hear them. And this came about, some people linked this in our Discord discussion. So we have a Discord. Everybody's welcome. Come on board. Links for that will be down in the description below, as well as our Patreon if you want to join a book club and join us in reading. That link will also be down in the description. And as always, keep on booking on.